I didn't. No, there's no interview with me.
Yeah.
Oh yes, there is.
You in the picture?
Oh,
Yeah.
This one was not in the Swedish
Oh no.
one. Oh, nice. Okay.
Sarjakuva TV tänään Helsingin Sarjakuvafestivaaleilla. Odottelemme päälavalle haastatteluun Lena Furbergia. Saadaan varmasti mukavasti tietoa hevosten piirtämisestä ja Polle eli Mulle sarjakuvan taustoista sekä Furbergin hieman vakavammistakin sarjoista. Tarkoitus vielä myöhemmin yhyttää sitten Furbergia ja kysellä häneltä mahdollisesti jotakin, mitä jää tässä yleisötilaisuudessa kuulematta. Tärkeitä asioita siis. Furbergillä on Suomessa laaja fanikunta, johon kuuluu myöskin monia tunnettuja maamme eturivin sarjakuvapiirtäjiä. Hän ei kuitenkaan liemälti ole kiertänyt festareilla tai antanut haastatteluja. Hevoshullu-lehdestä voitte toki lukea Furbergin pitkän haastattelun, jos satutte saamaan sen lehden käsinne, mutta tässä vaiheessa me keskitymme kuulemaan, mitä piirtäjämaestro Tarella on sanottavaa.
Lavalla mun kanssa tänään on hevossarjakuvien pioneeri Lena Furberg. Welcome. Hi.
Oh, hello. Thank you very much. It's really nice to be here. I'm so happy. I've never been to Helsinki before, and I just love the city. I've been walking around for 3 days now, and it's really nice. I love it.
Any special places that you like?
No, just all of it, all the buildings. And I've been looking for the Moomin shop. I draw and I send things. Now I send them over the internet, so I don't really meet people who read my cartoons unless I go to fairs and obviously read emails and things, but I don't really know what people are thinking. So it's very nice to hear.
Okay, good. Yeah, do you think social media has changed like the interaction between the readers and the...
Yes, I think so. I don't get many letters anymore. I used to get letters, written letters in the mailbox. Now I get emails and people who follow me on like Instagram and Facebook. Kids don't use Facebook much anymore, but Instagram is quite big. So.
Din hemsida?
Jag har ingen hemsida. Jag har haft en webbshop där jag sålde de här, jag sålde muggar och påslakansätt och sånt. Men det blev så otroligt mycket jobb med det. Jag hann inte med någonting annat. Så att jag var tvungen att lägga ner den tyvärr. Så att nu har jag ingenting. Jag har bara Facebook och Instagram just nu. And then I had the web shop for a while, but that's gone. I might start it up again. We'll see.
Yeah. So you get like this fan mail on Instagram, right?
I get like reactions and comments and wishes, what people tell me what they want to read about and what they want me to draw, and everyone is super nice. I don't get any hate like some people do. I just get nice comments, which is nice.
Yeah. Like when you started to do comics, did you send any like this kind of like fan mail to other cartoonists or comic drawers or?
No, I didn't. I was never really, I don't know if I should say this, but I wasn't that interested in comics. I was reading, I learned to read by reading comics when I was very small, but I wasn't like a big fan of comics as an art form. I was drawing a lot. I was always drawing. My dad worked in a bookstore, so we always had like crayons and pens and books and paper, and I think books influenced me even more. And back then I didn't really know any Swedish cartoonists or anything, so I didn't really have anyone that I was inspired by. I was just doing my thing, and I started drawing cartoons when I was really young. I was 15 when I started drawing him, more or less by accident. So no, I never wrote any fan mail.
Well, tell us about that accident. How did you end up?
Yeah, I was, like I said, I was 15 years old and I was really into horses. Horses was my life. And I was reading a Swedish horse magazine, and in one of the issues you could send in your name on a postcard and you could win a poster of racehorses. And back then, you know, posters weren't that, this was a long time ago, posters weren't that common, so if I could get a poster of horses, that was amazing. And I won just by sending in my name, but I never got it. And I waited and waited, and time went by, and in the end I got a bit upset. So I wrote them a letter, a really, not angry, but a letter, and I said, where is my poster? And I was drawing angry little horses in the margin of the letter, like bucking and kicking to show how upset I was. And they called me and they said, those look really nice, maybe you should make a cartoon out of them, because the cartoon, the magazine is called Min Häst. What's it called in Finnish? Hevoshullu or something?
Yeah, Hevoshullu.
Yeah, had just been published. And the magazine I worked for was only doing facts and serious stuff. So they panicked a bit and they thought we have to have something funny in the magazine. So they wanted me to draw a cartoon.
Försten någon bilder eller var det serier?
Det var serier från första början. Ja, det var det. Så gott det nu gick. Det är originala, it's originals all of them. So I'm selling them for like 5 or 10 euros each.
Oh, okay.
You can just look through them if you want. You don't have to buy them. Okay.
Please, yeah. Found that.
And I mean, I was 15 years old and I was living way up in the north of Sweden, and someone from Stockholm wanted me to draw a cartoon, so I said yes. But I didn't know, I couldn't draw cartoons. It's a big difference between drawing odd little drawings and comics. It's really difficult, and I didn't realize that. So I was sitting there on the floor of my room at home, and I was crying, and I was drawing the squares separately, like one by one, and then I sent them to the magazine and they had to put them together. And also when you're doing things like that, it's harder. You feel pressure, and it's not as fun as when you're just drawing for your own sake. So nothing came out really good, and they criticized me, and I had to change things, and I was crying even more. But I couldn't say no because it was such an opportunity, and I thought maybe I can make enough money to buy a horse, which I didn't. But anyway, I just kept going. I kept drawing, and eventually he kind of found himself a little bit, and he became what he is now. But it's taken a long, long time, and it wasn't easy. It was really difficult, and it was horrible. But now I'm so happy that I kept going, because now I love it. Now I would do it even if I didn't get paid for it. So now it's a good thing.
I started drawing him, and then after a few years they asked me if I wanted to do the serious stories too. So I said I can try, and I did, but then the people didn't look very good. So that it took me a long time. I wanted to draw horses and not humans.
Did you use a live model, or did you go to the stables and go?
Well, I had a horse at home, so I was always with horses.
So you were looking at it and drawing?
Yeah, but no, it was just from my head, I think.
Yeah. You knew it so well if you treat them, and you brush them and everything.
Yeah, that's how you learn.
I may have to buy them all. I can't decide. So how much for these 3?
That would be 20 euros.
So I think every artist has this own kind of workflow, how they do things. What's your workflow?
Well, now I work pretty much every day. I think I work 7 days a week actually, and the cartoons with him I can do at least 1 page a day because I know him so well. It doesn't take that long to draw him. I don't color them myself, but it takes about half a day to draw a page with him, and I just get up in the morning when my daughter goes to school, and then I draw, drink lots of coffee, and I draw by hand. I can't draw digitally. I absolutely can't do that. So I just draw by hand. I have a little pot of ink, and I have a pen that I dip in the ink, and then I draw with that. Very old-fashioned, and but it works. So it's quite fun.
Well, if the process has evolved, like at time, do you think your style has changed, like during the years, or do you
I hope
like
so. I think it has changed. I think it's changed a lot. I think with all my cartoons, the ones with Polle and the ones with my so-called serious stories, I always try to have a heart in it, and I don't know how to say this, but they have to come from my heart. It has to be honest, and it has to mean something. I don't just sit there and produce things, you know, like a machine. It has to mean something, and I want people to feel good when they read my cartoons. Even if it's a sad story, these days I definitely want it to end, you know, with a happy or feel-good note. I don't want to leave people in misery. So...
Where do you get your inspiration to the stories then?
Oh, I think I've drawn him for so long now that he's making up his own stories. And the other stories, sometimes people tell me their own stories, you know, true stories of what has happened to them and their horses, and then I write a story or draw a story about them. And sometimes I just walk in the forest with my dog and I start thinking of a subject, and I kind of brainstorm a little bit with myself, and it just comes from somewhere. I try to vary a little bit. I can't do like 3 unicorn stories in a row, so I try to pick like a subject or a type of horse, so I thought that it's a bit of variation. But I've done it for so long. I mean, I was 15 when I started, so it just happens. And like I said to you, you know, when if I draw serious stories and I feel like, oh, well, I can't do this anymore, then I just draw him, because it's like 2 different batteries. There's a Polle battery and it's a serious story battery. And if one runs out, I can always use the other one somewhere in my head.
So it's like basically like eating, like you can eat main course and then you have the different
then
stomach for the dessert,
yes.
And yeah.
That's a different pocket.
Yeah. So how long does it take from the point that you get the idea to the like actually getting the stories to print?
Well, like I said, with Polle I can actually do 2 pages in a day if I want to, and the other stories I kind of have to do at least 1 page a day, because this is what I live off. So if I take too long, I couldn't make a living out of it, because it's not that well paid, actually.
It's easier to do your own stories, because then I can choose what to put in the picture, and also I don't have to share the money, because obviously if someone writes a story, they have to get paid, and then that's minus from my money. So it's harder and it pays less to draw other people's stories.
So I usually do 1 page a day.
But that's quite a lot, I think.
It's quite a lot, but I mean, I don't do it every single day, 365 days a year, but I do it. I try to do something every day. So maybe 5 a week, 5, 6 a week.
Have you ever had this like second thoughts that what if you'd be doing something else? What would it be? Like if not comics?
I do other things too. I do paintings, and I illustrate books sometimes, and I do things for this Finnish company, Martinex, who do him. I do like mugs and tins and bed linens and things for them, which is fun, and that's another battery. So that's really good to have different things to do.
So to kind of balance each other.
Yeah, I'd like to paint more, but I haven't really got time, unfortunately.
if you had to choose one, what would you do?
I would have to choose Polle.
Yeah.
I would have to. Otherwise, I think it would be painting, actually. Watercolors, I like painting watercolors. But he's first.
So, I don't know if there's any younger audience, but what would you like to say to people that are just starting with their own comic career, want to do this super awesome comic series?
Oh, I think you just have to be personal. You have to be honest, and you shouldn't imitate other people and try to draw like other people. I mean, you can get inspired by other people, obviously, and learn techniques and things. But I think it's really important to do your own thing and be absolutely personal and honest, and not try to be like anyone else. Just be yourself, I think.
Normal comics artists who can't draw horses like me.
Well, if you're going to draw horses, you need to learn what the horse looks like. You have to learn, like, especially the legs and the hooves and how it moves. Because if, like I said up there, if you draw a horse and he's moving his legs the wrong way, then especially the kids who are into horses, they will just walk away from it.
Yeah.
So you have to. It's like any time you do something like a fact. Like if I was drawing a story about ice hockey, and the players were just doing stupid things, nobody would read it. So it has to be correct.
Yeah.
Has that always been like super easy to you for you to be yourself and find your own thing? And
yeah, I think so, because I had no one to look up to, because there wasn't really anyone else who was doing my kind of cartoons, who was doing like horses and cartoons for children. I was kind of lonely in what I was doing, so I think I was really into Disney when I was little. The Disney that was back then was a little bit more art, I think, than it is now, but I really like Disney. So I guess that's where I was inspired.
So do you think it's more of an advance that you didn't have any, like...
I think it's good because I didn't have any competition. I think if I was young today and I sent in the drawings I did then, nobody would want them. Absolutely nobody. They weren't good enough. But I didn't have any competition, so it was okay. And then now I guess I'm a lot better. But when I started, I was not very good at all. I see so many drawings that kids do these days, or kids and adults, they are so much better than the ones I started out doing, or the ones I'm doing now. So I wasn't very good. So don't worry about that.
Do you think that comics are somewhat this like grown men's playground, so to say? Do you think that you had any like negative attitude towards you as you were like doing something new that hadn't been done before?
No, I don't think so. I think maybe drawing children's horse cartoons hasn't been regarded very highly. People always ask me, why don't you draw cartoons for grown-ups? But I don't feel like I want that. I feel like these are my people, you know, the kids and the people who grew up with my cartoons. So I don't feel like I need to do anything else. But it's not the most highly respected type of cartoons. You're not that cool if you draw for horsey little kids. Or maybe it's changing, I don't know. But it's what I want to do, and it's what I love, and I would never do anything else.
I try now to do more boys, because it's important, because the boys in the stables sometimes feel a bit outside. They feel like they a little bit lonely in the stable. So I think it's important to draw förebilder, manliga förebilder i stallet. So I try to do that. Yeah, I know the kids really like that. that it looks, you know, Nordic. It doesn't look like American or, yeah, it has to be like the right kind of houses and clothes, and so that's really important.
So has the industry changed on that part, or?
Well, I mean, when I was little, parents didn't want their kids to read cartoons because it was considered bad. It was like low life. No, you have to read books. So today, I think parents are quite happy if their kids read at all. So I think today it's considered, I mean, cartoons are looked at differently today. It's more of an art form, and it's a bit more respected, I think.
Does the audience have something to ask right now?
Okay.
What's your favorite kind of horse?
My favorite kind of horse, I like the slightly heavier horses. The North Swedish horse. It looks a bit like the Finn horse, actually. The same build, a slightly heavier horse, but not a super heavy. I grew up with them because I grew up in the north of Sweden, and people used them in the forest for pulling timber, and then you could also ride them, and they're used for trotting. So I think they're my favorites, but I like all kinds of horses.
Have to choose like your dream horse or Polle. Which one would you get? Like an actual?
Oh, I would have to choose Polle. I would have to.
Even with all his.
Yes, I forgive him.
Do you find it difficult to draw like certain type of horses, or are they all easy?
No, I think all horses actually basically look the same. It's just different expression and different, you know, detail, but they're pretty much the same, I think. Then again, you've got like trotting horses where I have to draw all the equipment. They have so much equipment on them, which is not that easy always, because it has to look correct. If you draw horses, it's as if I was drawing like motorbikes and they looked wrong, then anyone who was into motorbikes would go, oh my god, that's terrible. And it's the same with horses. You have to draw them correctly. You have to do the equipment correctly and the way they're ridden correctly. You can't have a rider who sits just like this and looks stupid, because that ruins the whole story. It has to be correct. It has to be right.
Do you think it's a curse or blessing to have to draw all the equipment so like precise?
No, it's quite fun. Sometimes I drew cartoons about wild horses, and then there's no equipment at all.
Yeah, that solves the problem pretty much. I think. Yeah. Your more serious comics, they are more centered to horses than people around them. Have you always find it easy to kind of tell the story from the behalf of the horse, not so much from the human side?
Well, when I started drawing cartoons, I couldn't draw people at all. I was always criticized that my people looked terrible. So back then I actually did a lot of stories about wild horses, because then I didn't have to draw any people. But today I quite enjoy drawing people, and I enjoy drawing, you know, the relationship between people and horses, because it's quite a big thing, the relationship between a person and the horse. It's very deep and very special, so I do enjoy it a lot. I enjoy it more and more, actually, to do the people's view of the story.
There is a question over there.
Have you tried to change your style with purpose?
Yes, I have. I actually had a person who was drawing cartoons that I admired very much. Her name was Maria Blom, and she was drawing for Min Häst many years ago, and I liked her style because it was so simple. I always thought my pictures were too crowded. There was too much detail and too much little bits everywhere. So I tried to draw like her, because her drawings were so simple, but it didn't work. It just looked terrible. So I think I did that for about a year, and then I had to revert to my own style again. I don't try to change style. I mean, obviously I try to learn from other people, from other artists, but don't think I'm changing style. It changes automatically through the years without me really thinking about it. But
How about the feedback you get from the audience? Do you let it
I love it. I love.
affect your style?
No, maybe sometimes people want me to draw about a certain kind of horse, or they want like to have more boys in the cartoons. That's something I try to do more now, and different styles of people maybe. So it's not. I don't want them to look like Barbie dolls, or all of them. Yeah.
How about Emma's nose?
Oh, the story about Emma's nose. Yes, when I started drawing her nose, this was when I was 15, her nose was part of the mouth in a very strange way. And then as the years went by, it just disappeared. And then everyone was asking me, why doesn't she have a nose? All my other characters had noses, but not Emma. So I had to give her a nose, which was difficult because it changed the way she looked. And I think that the way I wrote it, it was that she had fallen off so many times that her nose had been flattened. She had crashed so many times onto the ground. So then her friend, whose name is Kaisa, I don't know what she's called in Finland, brought one of these plungers that you use in the toilet, and she pulled the nose out. So that's how she got a nose again. But then a lot of people didn't want a nose, so I think I was going back and forth for a while, but now she has a nose.
Do you have any favorite serious comic in the past? Yeah, one of your...
The one that hasn't been published yet, I think, is one that was so much fun to draw. It's about the kelpie, you know, the horse that lives in the lake. So that one will be published soon. That one was so much fun to draw because it was really magic. I have a few favorites, but the serious one, the Tuva, what's it called, Tuuvan? Tuva, oh yes. That was very special to me because that was a true story, and it came from the stable where I had my first horse. So all those stories are true. The whole series, they're all from real life. So they're very special to me. And also Freddy at Firefoot Farm, I like that one. I think that's my favorite.
Do you still do the Tuva?
No, because it was a true story and all the people in it grew up and suddenly they were 40 years old. And I couldn't really, if I wanted it to be a true story, I couldn't keep doing it because then I would have to lie. Because in the cartoon they're like 15. So I had to stop it.
Silliest story you've written that you, when you look back at...
No, I don't know. Maybe some of the really old ones, I just don't like them because they were ugly. I didn't like my drawings. I don't think I've done anything that I really, really wish I hadn't done. Thank God. So there's probably some silly ones, but I can't really remember.
Do you ever redraw some of your old stories?
I have redrawn some of the Polle stories, but never any serious ones. Maybe that's a good idea. Because the Polle stories, I said that they must never reprint the really old ones because he looked so stupid. So some of the very, very old ones I can redraw because they won't be published again anyway. So I can sneak them in.
If you think about your more serious comics, do you enjoy more doing stories that don't have anything like paranormal, or like do you like these kind of magical things more?
I love the magical ones. I love unicorns and kelpies and anything. I love drawing like forests and, you know, mysterious pictures. But it's good to do everything. It gives me a variation, I think.
Do you have any special, like, what's your favorite magical horse of all time?
That must be the unicorn. It must be. I've done quite a few unicorn stories. I kind of discovered the unicorns when I was at a bookstore in New York, and I found these amazing books by Robert Vavra. He's done some photo books called Unicorns I Have Known and The Unicorn of Kilimanjaro, and I think that's what sparked me, because they were photographic books. They were so amazing, and since then I think I'm kind of hooked on unicorns.
Do you have any idea how many unicorn stories you've made so far?
Not that many, because I can't just draw unicorns all the time. I think maybe I've done 7, maybe. I don't think I've done 10. He was a unicorn once.
Tuuvan Talli was based on like actual people.
Mm-hmm.
Are any other comics you make based on actual people, or do you take actual persons from your life and put them into your comics?
I think I've done quite a few stories that were real. I mean, true stories that people have written to me about, or stories that I've heard about. I've done stories about famous racehorses and famous show jumpers. But usually it's a bit of a mixture. I mean, even Polle is a part of people. I think he is what people would like to be like, that people would like to not care what people think, or what you eat, or how you behave. He's just himself, and I think that's what people would like to be.
How many percentage of you is in Polle?
Quite a few, I think, or maybe wishful thinking. Maybe I would like to be more like him. I think I'm more like him as I get older, maybe. Not so worried.
So do you like raspberry boats as well, or?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And flowers.
Yeah.
How's your relationship with horses today? Do you have an own horse?
And I'm always thinking I'm gonna have one, but I just don't have the time at the moment. But I think when I get really old, I will have an old Spanish horse that I'm gonna ride, I think. Something like that. But I have horses outside my window when I draw. I have a whole field of horses next door. My neighbor is a dressage rider, so I see her horses every day.
Do you get lots of ideas from the readers?
Yeah, I do. I get lots of stories and lots of ideas, mainly stories. People tell me their own story, and I sometimes use those stories.
Do you still draw those one-page comics with the black-haired girl with snake?
Oh, Yo-Yo! Oh, no! I've been asked to do it, but I'm not drawing her anymore. Yeah, I can do her if I want to, but time is the limit, I think.
You make also children's book and illustrations beside this horse.
Yeah, and there's a book with him now coming out for little kids, like from 3 to 6 years old, called Min pony Mulle. Don't know what that would be in Finnish. My pony Polle, and it's out next week, I think. And that's a little children's book. It's not a cartoon, but it's about him. And I illustrate other people's books sometimes with horses.
Do you ever think about this like educational part of your work when you are drawing and handwriting comics for kids and young people, like how to treat a horse or stuff like that you would really have this target group and this like educational?
Yeah, I've done that. I did a series of there was like a riding school once. It was quite a few years ago, and I've done other stories too that were like the horse behavior and how the horse, the hearing and the eyes and the smell and everything. I did a whole series about the senses, the horse's senses. So I've done that. That's quite fun, actually.
But what about these comics you may draw like on a regular basis, for example, to Min Häst or Hevoshullu? Like, do you ever think how they influence the kids who read them and how they see horses?
Yes,
Yeah.
I have to be very careful that I don't do wrong things. These days I try to put safety vests on the characters, because kids should definitely use those when they ride. and I don't let them do things wrong. I have to be quite careful because they will, they will get influenced by the stories.
And I think that is a good thing about your comics, that those who treat horses badly, they are always villains.
Okay.
So you tell kids to treat horses properly, and that's a good thing.
Okay, thank you. Yes. Yeah, they have to.
Have you ever heard any stories about how a specific comic has influenced someone, or
not in a specific way, but sometimes people, grown-ups, have come up to me and said that they used to read my cartoons when they were children, and how when they were sad or miserable or depressed, they would read my stories and they would feel good again, and they would sort of go into my stories as an escape or something. And I think that's amazing. That makes me so happy. Or they come and they say, "Oh, childhood," they say when they see my cartoons, because it was important to them in their childhood, and that's fantastic. That makes me so happy.
Have you ever hoped that your series, whichever from them, get animated?
I would like to animate him, but I don't know how to do it. I would have to have someone do it for me, a company or something, and they've been talking about it, but it's never happened.
Still some kind of dream job you would like to do?
Oh, there's so much more I'd like to do. I could be a gardener. I like gardening. Life, there's so much I like to do in life, but time is the limit, I would like to do painting, much more painting. Well, anything, watercolor paintings, but they take time and I have to make a living, so it's hard. I like running, swimming, lots of things. But this is a good job. It's also a good job because I can take the job with me. I mean, I used to live in the United States for quite a few years, and I've lived in England. My husband's from England. And with this kind of job, I don't have to stay in one place. I can live anywhere I want, as long as I can. I mean, I used to send everything by mail from the United States to Sweden. Now it's so easy. You just scan it and send it on the internet. So it's, in that sense, it's a very good job. You can live anywhere you like. Because I don't do the coloring myself, and I had once done this long story about a horse. It was a trotter, and it was a winter story, so there was snow everywhere. It was like deep snow on the ground and on the trees and everything, and it was colored in Argentina, I think, and they didn't realize that it was snow, so they colored the snow brown or green, and I didn't realize until the magazine was printed and out in the stores, and the horses were like wading around in this deep brown mud up to their knees, and the trees had this strange brown thing hanging on them, and it was terrible, and it was a 3-part story, and it was a true story, and it was terrible. It was really terrible. Today I still don't color them, but I get to see the cartoons. I get to see it, and I get to, correct mistakes. And they're very good at coloring these days. I couldn't do it even if I learned how to. But at least I get to see them, and I get to say, no. And the horses don't change color from one picture to another, or things like that, like they used to in the old days. I mean, today most new cartoonists, they do their own coloring, but it would take me 10 years to learn how to do that, so I let other people do it.
Have you drawn about Finnish racehorses?
I did a story about a Finn horse, the Finnish, what do you call it? The breed?
Finn horse.
Yeah, I've done a story about one of them, but I don't think I've done anything about the Finnish racehorse or anything. Someone will have to send me a story.
Lots of exhibitions or something like that.
Lots of what?
Exhibitions.
No, not really. When I do watercolors and things like that, I just want to keep them. so. I don't actually sell them. I've sold a couple, but I started doing prints instead. They were quite nice, so I could sell them because I always wanted to keep the original. I said to my family, when I'm dead, they can sell them, and they don't. Then maybe they can make a living for a year out of my old paintings or something. But no, I keep them.
How about the originals of the comics?
I have thousands and thousands of them at home in boxes, and I don't know what to do with them. So
Send them to me.
yeah, send them to you. Yeah, in a truck.
Yeah.
These are so cheap.
Yeah, well, if I was, because I've already used them and I have copies of them at home, so if somebody wants them, they can buy them.
Yeah, I will buy at least one.
Okay.
Now I have to decide which
You have to decide which one.
Yeah, because I can really recognize each one of these.
This was used for, tins made here in Finland.
Yeah.
By Martinex.
Yeah.
You could buy the tins, and he had one of them on each side, and also this one.
Yeah.
And this one is available as a pillow cover and a mug in color.
I think that I have also seen this in color, right?
Yeah.
This sleeping coat.
Yeah, this one. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, I do sell little drawings though, pencil drawings of Polle and other horses. So I've got a few with me here, but not many paintings.
So if somebody wants to buy your original comics, do you sell them?
Yeah, I could, but they're not colored and they're not texted. The texting is done digitally, so they have empty bubbles.
So do you have a good like filing system for all the...
No, it's a complete mess. It's just boxes and boxes.
Can you estimate how many pages of comics have you drawn?
I mean, it's definitely thousands, because I started when I was 15, which is a very, very long time ago. And I've done, I don't know. It's probably, no, I can't think. 15,000 maybe, 20,000, probably 20,000 pages. Maybe more, I don't know.
Is there like anything that you definitely don't want to draw, where you don't draw the line, that you're not going to draw?
I don't like drawing abuse anymore. I can mention it and I can have a story about it, but I don't draw the bad pictures. I don't draw beating much and things like that. And I don't like drawing bicycles and cars. But that's it. And of course I wouldn't draw something that I don't believe in. I couldn't draw something that is wrong to me. I couldn't do that.
Has that changed over the time, or do you think that you always had these certain limitations?
I think I used to do really, really, really sad stories back in the old days, and I think I still do, but I might have changed them a little bit so the ending doesn't feel so bad, because I don't want people to feel bad after reading my stories. Even if the story is sad, it has to have something positive in the end that makes you feel good. I don't want to make people feel bad.
Do you use inkwell and nib?
Yeah, I do. Still. Yeah, it's. I try to use just pens, but it doesn't work. I can't do it. It changes the character of the drawings if I change the type of pen I'm using. So. I just sketch like outlines, and I don't sketch all the details, but most of it I think. Sometimes I do one picture at a time, and sometimes I do the whole page. It varies a little bit. Yeah, my husband actually works for me. He does the inking. He does he fills in the black mane, because that takes a long time, and he does the straight lines. He's not doing anything else, only the straight lines and all the black, so he's quite happy. That's a good job for him. My daughter is not into horses at all. She's into mopeds.
Anything else?
Have you ever thought about something drawing from your own life?
Well, one of the Tuva stories was from my own life. I was actually in it. But no, I don't really, no, I haven't.
Okay, I think it's about the time now. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
But I've never been to a comic festival before. Thank you.
It is my first. I don't think we have comic festivals in Sweden. I haven't seen any.
It's so wonderful.
So thank you for inviting me.